Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, my name is Lindsay Munro, and I work on the Adobe XD team. I'm really excited to be here this morning. It's this morning in San Francisco, but for those of you who were tuning in, we've had streams going pretty much all night.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm Khoi Vinh. I am a designer at Adobe. I work on the Adobe XD team as well. I lead the design team. And we're super excited to be here for World Interaction Design Day.
Yeah, it's a big day. There's a lot of stuff happening around the globe. As I said, we're here in San Francisco, but we had streams in Sydney and Berlin. We'd love to see where you're tuning in from, so jump into the comments and let us know where you're watching. Also, we're here to talk a little bit about what's in store for today, talk about World Interaction Design Day, what's been happening around the world, what is going to happen. But I also have Khoi with me, who is pretty amazing. So if you have any questions for him, feel free to jump into the chat. I'm also happy to answer anything that comes up, but really, Khoi is the guy. Yeah. So we have some programming listed for today. I don't know, Paco, are we able to throw up the schedule for what we've got? So again, we're welcoming you this morning, myself and Khoi. We also have some live design work happening in Adobe XD. I'll actually be back on at 10:30 with Josh Silverman. We'll be talking about everything from design critiques to resources for designing humanely. We got Julian Crespo. Of course, we have the Daily Creative Challenge, which happens every day, but this Creative Challenge will be around the theme of Interaction Design Day, which we'll get into more details on soon. We also
with Andrea.
With Andrea Hawk. Yeah. She's one of our former creative residents.
Right, I see her. She's amazing.
She is, and I think she's been doing a lot of the creative challenges, so it's been great. We also have an interview with Margot Bloomstein. Margot is a speaker and an author. Mm-hmm. She's working on a book right now on trust in design. And Margot's actually joining us this evening here in San Francisco.
That's right.
You're going to have a chat with her later.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So
right here at Adobe,
Yeah, totally. So she's going to actually do a talk here at our Adobe San Francisco office as part of one of the many events that's happening or happened around the globe for World Interaction Design Day. And finally, we have more live designing in XD.
That's right.
The thing that makes this stream extra special is not just the fact that we're all around the globe and it's for hours and hours, but we're also celebrating World Interaction Design Day and the theme in particular. So all of the talks and streams you're going to see today will be around trust and responsibility, which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Cool. So we've got Scott tuning in from St. Louis. It's great. That's one of our probably one of our biggest fans out that way. me and Scott always meet up at Max and have pizza, which is awesome.
Seems like people are tracking the number of stickers on your laptop too.
Oh, the stickers are always a fan favorite. We'll actually be talking a little bit about Wireframe too on the feed, so
that's right.
It's good. But and you can see we've got like the evolution over here, the evolution of the XD logo as well, and also some great ones from all over.
Yeah.
Awesome. We also have Peru tuning in, which is great. And it looks like Scott was plugging Andrea Hawk's Twitter. She does have a great Twitter account, so you should.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. Awesome. It's been a while, actually, since I've been on Adobe Live. I used to host a bit more regularly, but I'm based in Toronto now. So I moved back home, but I'm coming back to San Francisco pretty regularly. And we have events happening there as well. But let's jump in on World Interaction Design. We haven't talked about this. So what is it?
So this is a huge event that happens all over the globe. Once a year when interaction designers come together and really form a united global community to show how interaction design improves the human condition.
100%.
Really amazing thing that all these people have put together. And the aim is really to have a positive, long-lasting impact on design in general and how people think about design all over the world.
Yeah. 100%. And like, as you said, it's not one event, it's not one workshop, one conference, one activity in one spot. It's like many events all over. And not just events, so we have folks that are doing evening things, we have this live stream, we have full day workshops. So people are celebrating in all different ways, but the sort of the main takeaway, as you said, is talking, sort of rallying around one theme and one cause to sort of further the craft.
And of course, we do this with the Interaction Design Association, so the largest association for interaction designers globally. So they have 100,000 members with more than 200 groups. And
growing.
And growing, And virtually all of them are participating. So that's just really a tremendous show of force, I think. Just shows how much coverage we have all over the globe. And then and today is also has the support of AIGA, the SODA, Ladies at UX, and Creative Morning. So just a lot of people coming together to make this happen.
Yeah, it's pretty fabulous. And even with these supporting partners, like they've partnered up with each other. So like one of the best things that I've been hearing is, Ladies at UX and Creative Mornings are partnering with the local IxDD chapter to host some event in one city, and it's been great. We're actually in I think it's in like northern New York. There's a bunch of different groups from AIGA that are also hosting. I think there's 3 events occurring with them.
Right. That's so great because there's so many design associations out there. So it's great for an event like this for them to collaborate and for everybody to work together to really just spread the gospel on design.
Completely. And while some of these are focused on UX design, others are just about inspiration and creativity. But one thing we know is interaction design really spans all of these areas.
Absolutely.
So it's great that we can bring everybody together. Oh, it looks like we've got Damien Borba tuning in. He was my old comrade when we used to do these live streams together. Thank you, Voodoo Val, of course, for always tuning in and helping moderate. We want to hear from you, so please jump in the comments and let us know your questions and things like that. So now we know a little bit about World Interaction Design Day.
Yeah.
We know a bit about the theme. We know a bit about our partners.
We'll know about the theme in a minute.
Let's talk about the theme. Let's talk about the theme. So this year's theme is Trust and Responsibility, Khoi. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, this is a big part of how design is changing, I think.
Yeah.
I think, for many years, designers were working so hard just to get a seat at the table. And by and large, we haven't completely solved that, but we've gotten really good representation in all kinds of companies and in all kinds of organizations. And I think what's been happening over the past 5+ years or so is that we've had to take stock in the overall journey for design and start to think about what is the impact of what we're doing, and particularly around trust and responsibility and security and privacy. And so for me, it represents a next level for design where we're really starting to think about how we impact the world around us. And how we can create experiences that aren't just efficient and then get you through to the shopping cart or through to accomplishing some goal, but also are designed expressly with your best interests in mind as a user, as a person in the world. And that for me, trust and responsibility is just a key aspect of how designers are thinking about their work going forward.
As designers are facing decisions as like technology like AR and VR and voice come up, like, do we think this is even more pertinent, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think as these new technologies are starting to sort of populate different aspects of our lives, there's all kinds of questions around the amount of access they have to our data, the amount of access they have to what we're saying and what we're seeing, and our emotions and our movements throughout the world. And I think it's going to be really critically important for designers with a really smart trust and responsibility approach to be working on the projects and the products that people will be interacting on those fronts. But It's not just these so-called new or immersive technologies. It's like even in the apps that we use today, the basic websites that we interact with all the time, trust and security are more important than ever, and we see it in the headlines week in and week out, of course.
Yeah, of course. And also with the sort of the emergence of GDPR, that has impacted the designer's role, right? And it's brought these sort of issues top of mind because it's part of the design process now, right?
Right.
Would you comment on any sort of unique challenges designers are facing when it comes to this? And, in terms of how does one become a more responsible designer? Like where should one start?
Yeah, well, you mentioned GDPR, which is the European Union regulation on privacy that we've all been living with all over the world, regardless of whether or not we live in Europe for the past year or two now. Yeah, and that's had a big impact on the experience of just going to a website now, because everybody's seen these privacy notices that show up at the bottom of the screen sometimes, or right in the middle of the screen. So that's, I think, one sort of low-level way that designers have started to need to contend with just making privacy a core part of every experience, and trying to make sure that it both blends in seamlessly with the experience that people are there for, but at the same time, gives them ample warning about what they should expect from a privacy perspective. So I think we're also getting our arms around like how to declare privacy intentions in a really clear, straightforward, elegant manner. But of course, there's a lot more evolution that needs to happen there, and best practices that need to emerge.
You recently had a discussion or a roundtable discussion on an episode of Wireframe.
That's right.
First of all, do you want to talk about what is Wireframe, and then we can sort of speak to that episode a little bit?
Yeah, so Wireframe is a podcast from Adobe and Gimlet Creative that I host. We're in the middle of our second season right now. New episodes drop every Tuesday, and
Tuesday, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and so today there's a new episode. Each episode is roughly 20-25 minutes long, and it's essentially a documentary-style podcast about the world of UX design. So there are tons of great podcasts out there. I'm a big fan of a lot of them, but most of them just take the format of interviewing other designers, and that's great. But what we decided to do with Wireframe is really try to dive deep into the topics that make up the world of design. So we have topics this season on the UX of privacy and the overlap between privacy regulations and design. We have episodes on the UX of healthcare records. We have one coming up on the challenges of creating fake user experiences, fantasy user experiences for the world. For the world of film and TV. That's going to be a really fun one.
Yeah.
Each episode is really deeply researched, is reported out really carefully. We got lots of voices on, really high production values, and what we really try to focus on is creating a story about design that's interesting, not just to professionally trained designers like us, but also for anybody who might just be design curious or might just know just a little bit about design. And so the goal is to make design accessible, or I should say open and pleasing and inviting to everybody, to help spread the gospel of how design impacts everybody's lives.
100%.
Yeah.
So we did release a special episode when we were going into programming this year. We wanted to do something around trust and responsibility in celebration of World Interaction Design Day. So we did do an episode on privacy and trust.
That's right.
And so we encourage you to go check that out. You can find Wireframe pretty much wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. Awesome. So I'm curious, like, for those that are tuning in, like, what does the theme trust and responsibility mean to you? It's broad. We intentionally pick broad themes for World Interaction Design Day. We talk to our global committee, which includes Khoi.
Right.
And everybody weighs in on sort of what's sort of top of mind for interaction designers, really truly at a global level. So let us know what you think about trust and responsibility as a theme. Also, feel free to chime in on the conversation on Twitter today with hashtag IxDD. You can see the background. If you forget the hashtag, it's right here. And yeah, so I think we're going to go ahead and I'm going to play a teaser video that we developed for this year's event. So Paco, you want to throw it to my computer?
Yep.
Great.
All over the world, there's great conversations, interviews, and presentations taking place that will help advance and support other designers in doing better work.
We all have unique experiences within our workplace, and we really need to share that knowledge so that we can do better in both our work and our lives.
The graphics were designed by Trey Seals,
Yeah.
a young designer that I met, I believe, earlier this year in Washington, D.C., a really talented guy, and he produced all those really bold, strong graphics for Interaction Design Day.
He did it all. And actually, if you guys want to go check out the website, which you should, because we're going to actually, why don't we, we'll go and take a look at that in just one sec. I'll just pull this up. Okay, we can throw it to my computer.
Yeah.
So if you go to interactiondesignday.org or IxDD.org, we have a few domains, so you'll find us. You can see the bold visual design that Khoi was referring to, that Trey Seals did. You can see his website at seals.co. But we have events happening all over the world. I'm gonna go ahead and pop over to our events page. So if you head onto our website, you can go and check out the events. We have over 100 events in 40 countries. I think there are 10 in India alone. I think in the States, I was trying to do some rough addition, and I think we have close to 40 events in the US.
Wow.
It's pretty wild. And all over Europe, you can see we have an event in Russia and
It's pretty
Australia.
crazy. Like that map, just all those.
It's really wild, right?
Yeah, those spots pulsing all over. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
South America is definitely representing. We have 4 events in Africa. I think a couple might have been added last minute too. There was an event that happened in Japan. It's weird because I think like a lot of these things have happened, right? You got to remember we're on the tail end of World Interaction Design Day in some ways. Like I said to you when you came in, I think I liked 100 tweets this morning by 7:30 a.m. our time, just because so much conversation has happened. So totally worth checking it out. Speaking of which, we've got Kieran here from Mumbai. Hello. We've got Ankit from India. I saw Patrick, you're tuning in, I think from Toronto area, which is great. Awesome. So yeah, like in my hometown of Toronto, they're doing an event with Gabriel White, who's talking about how design can help with financial equity in communities. Here in San Francisco, we talked about how Margot Bloomstein is going to be having a chat with you this evening on trust and design, and we have all sorts of events taking place in New York. Our very own Scott Belsky, who's our Chief Product Officer.
Yes. I'm based in New York, so I have to miss it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, this is the problem with today, right? I mean, I've been working on so many of these events. I wish I could put myself in all of these different places, but. Our very own Scott Belsky is kicking things off in New York this evening.
Right.
He'll actually also be joined by Mark Webster, who will be talking about the
trust and responsibility in voice,
voice interface design.
Mark is sort of our guru of voice user experience design. He was the founder of a company called SaySpring that joined Adobe last year and forms the basis of. And SaySpring forms the core of the voice features in Adobe XD. So he's super active in the whole voice UX circuit. So and it's super smart too.
It's really on point for this year's theme as well. And they'll also be joined by Molly Wright Stinson, and they're going to be she'll be talking about ethics and tech. And they also have 2 other speakers lined up. So it's going to be like a jam-packed itinerary in New York. So again, if you're looking for an event to go to, I think there's still tickets available across a lot of these.
Right.
We also have creative jams happening in Dallas and San Diego. In Boston, Women Talk Design has a whole day of talented female speakers from the design community talking around this year's theme. We only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to mention we also released a list of some of the top UX designers today, and you helped with that.
Yes, I was on the committee that reviewed a whole bunch of candidates. This is the inaugural list from a team of people who are looking at trying to identify up-and-coming talent in the design community, and it's just like a great list. Do we have that link somewhere?
You know what? We do. Why don't we flip over to my computer? So we actually have published the list on the website, so you can go and actually learn more about each of these folks. There's a list of 10 from all around the world of up-and-coming UX designers. So go check it out. There's some faces on here that make me really proud to see. Fiona, amazing. Tim Hikes. This is great. So
a lot of people doing super interesting work, just sort of diversifying the voices that are participating in design as well. So it's awesome to see them recognized like this.
Completely. Yeah, so go check them out. Give them a shout out on Twitter. Congratulate them.
Yeah, congrats,
That'd be
guys.
Great. Awesome. You can find this on the website. Great. Okay, we can flip back. And so there are other ways to participate. If you can't make it to an event, you're doing the right thing by tuning into this stream. We also have a whole bunch of blog content. We have an article with Margot Bloomstein, who we've talked about a lot today. We also have another article on how UX design can help create trust by Carolyn Sinders. She is a researcher out of Harvard's Kennedy School, and she's actually currently working on a survey on trust in design. So go read about that. Behance put together a mood board for today, which features projects, and we have a roundup of Simply Secure videos. Simply Secure, do you want to, you're friends with some folks
I know
over
a
there.
couple of folks over there. Yeah, they're a really interesting nonprofit group. They're based all over the world. The director, Georgia Bullen, is in New York, usually, I think, but she's always all over the place. And Amy Elliott is the design director. She's in Berlin. I've gotten to know both of them really well. Simply Secure, what they do is essentially try to spread best practices around the intersection of design and security and privacy and trust and responsibility. And so they give workshops, they do lectures. It's a really, really interesting group that's like really at the heart of what we're talking about today. And really, this all sort of boils down to the point that for designers, I think in the past we've sort of thought of trust, responsibility, security, privacy, all of these things as something that you do after the design process, but it's really become clear that this is all part of the designer's job more and more going forward, and we should look at it as a design problem.
Completely. All right, thank you everyone. Bless you. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. Again, lots of ways to participate. Follow at Adobe XD on Twitter for the latest updates on all things happening today. Join the conversation at IxDD. Khoi, thank you so much
for
joining. Everyone, thank you so much for your support.
Happy Interaction Design Day, everybody.
Happy Interaction Design Day.